put the wiener between the buns and don't forget the condiments. That is basically this movie in a nutshell. Need I say more? Welcome back to my channel. I am Adorkable Rachel, and it is time once again for another episode of Rachel Reviews, where I take a look at a recent release. I'm obviously a little late on this one because the movie came out a little less than 2 weeks ago, but I still really wanted to talk about this movie because clearly there's a lot to talk about. There will be spoilers ahead, so just come back later if you're not ready to hear the nitty-gritty stuff yet. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, the guys who have brought us many talked about movies such as Superbad and The Interview, have done it once again by producing the film Sausage Party. Seth Rogen plays a hot dog named Frank, get it? And Kristen Wiig plays a hot dog bun named Brenda. Again, get it? Like bread? I knew that those two were in it when I went into the film, but as I watched it, I also discovered there were other actors who normally appear in Seth Rogen's films, such as Jonah Hill, Craig Robinson, Cera, and then we also get Salma Hayek playing a sexy lesbian taco. Because why not? So this R-rated comedy is a story about food in a supermarket who are hoping to be picked up by people because they want to go to the great beyond or outside the supermarket because the food have been led to believe that outside the supermarket is a better life for them. And besides the mass amounts of food puns and innuendo that we get, this is where things really start to get gritty. Because as you'd imagine, the foods soon discover what their true fate is, and then we get horrific scenes of food being chopped up, boiled, baked, microwaved, and oh my god, it is so terrifying, but at the same time, it is so sadistically hilarious to watch. And you know, I have seen the trailers and I thought maybe going into this that there would be some scenes I couldn't stomach too well, but actually I was laughing pretty hard at these scenes. Since it's food and they're not necessarily bleeding, it just comes off more as silly than gruesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, you still feel bad for them, but it's still really funny. For example, there's this one scene actually more in the beginning of the film where there's this like can of spaghetti who's fallen and broken apart, and he's like trying to scoop up the spaghetti back into his can like it's guts or something. Oh my god, it is just the greatest thing. So anyway, Frank and his girlfriend kind of go on this journey in the supermarket to figure out the truth of the whole situation at hand, and along the way they come across some other food friends. You will see very quickly that there actually are a lot of racial stereotypes in the film, such as a Jewish bagel and then also a Middle Eastern lavish, along with like Asian food, Greek food, Mexican food. This could have been offensive, but actually, since it's a pretty well-written satirical comedy and it's food, it's actually pretty hilarious to see the metaphors and all the similarities between food and different types of people. And yeah, it's actually really funny. One of my favorite parts in the entire film actually is this one scene that's kind of like a montage, but it's done with the song I Would Do Anything for Love by Meatloaf, but it's done with like an actual Meatloaf singing the song. What can I say? I'm a huge sucker for visual gags like that. I will give this film that it is insanely creative. I feel like we've seen stuff like this before where food is either really excited to be going home to be eaten, or in some cases they're horrified by what happens to them. But if I'm correct, this is the first time that they've actually done something like this on the big screen, and it's actually animated like a kid's film, and that's one of the reasons why it's so funny to watch. From what I understand, this film had a lot of controversy being made because a lot of producers were hesitant to make it, and you can kind of see why. It's kind of like your childhood movies, only it's gritty and dirty and you can't look away. By the way, the animation in this movie is freaking gorgeous. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if someone told me that Pixar secretly animated this. So, parents, I'm telling you right now, do not bring your kids to see this film. I swear to God, you will forever regret it. It's crude, it's dirty, it's horrifying. Just don't do it. So besides the food characters, there's also actually a lot of other kinds of products that play big and small parts in the movie. For example, there's like a Stephen Hawking-like character that's actually a piece of chewed gum. There's one part also where we see a used condom and we see the horrors of what he's seen. Yeah, there's just some things you can never unsee after seeing this movie. And the best part is the main antagonist of the film is a douche. Why? This movie is kind of like if VeggieTales met Toy Story and they all decided to have a grand horror house sex party. My only question is, why was the movie called Sausage Party? I mean, it's not like the movie was specifically focused on hot dogs or anything. Like, all different kinds of food are represented here. You can't just single out one food, guys. That's racist. I get the feeling that the better title of the film was probably Food Fight, but then again, there's already a stupider film out there with that name, so what are you gonna do? Plus, Sausage Party does actually sound a lot more dirty. But even though the film is dark and crude at times, actually, there is a really underlying message to it. Just like Rogen and Goldberg's films normally do. This one has a very close social commentary to the Zootopia film, where a lot of foods don't really like each other because they represent race. Get it? But spoilers, near the climax of the film, Frank tries to convince everyone to rise up together and to fight against the humans because he actually has proof that they get eaten outside the store. And you think that everyone is gonna listen, they're all gonna rise up and come up with a plan together, but no, they actually don't listen and they stay in denial for a little bit. Frank then gets the advice from little Michael Cera Sausage, and he tells Frank that you can't just convince people to see things your way by shoving points of view down their face, and you especially can't do it by degrading their belief system. And yes, they do actually use the term belief system. Not that subtle. Instead, you need to be kind and respectable and show people the good parts of your point of view, if you truly want people to see things your way. Now, that's actually pretty sophisticated commentary for a film about food that has sex and cuss all the time. And besides everything that I just mentioned, I personally think the best part of the film is that it just continues to build and build and build as the film goes on. When the second act of the film comes around, you get to a point where you really don't know how things are gonna turn out, so it's just kind of surprise after surprise after surprise at that point. At the climax of the film, we get this massive battle between the food and the people, thanks to the magical help of bath salts. But then the food has this big celebration with an intersexual inter-food orgy. Oh yeah, that happens. But then Frank and his friends are informed that they're actually not real. They're actually, get this, cartoons. What? And then they get a glimpse of their voice actors. What? And then, because the film wasn't trippy enough, they somehow put together some kind of interdimensional machine that will take them to where their voice actors are so they can go see what's in the next dimension. And then the movie ends. What the hell did I just watch? I really hope that they have a sequel now, because they have got to do something like Roger Rabbit, where there's like the people, the actors, Seth Rogen and everybody, and then the cartoon characters in the same dimension. But oh my gosh, I just want to see how much more meta they can possibly get it. I mean, the voice actor talking to their character, what? So, if this movie has taught me anything, it's that we can in fact get along as long as we learn to set aside our differences, realize that we do have a lot in common and we're not so different, and once we achieve all that, we can have a big interracial orgy and everything's all good. And then we'll also find out that this isn't real and we're actually in the Matrix and we're just controlled by puppeteers. Makes sense to me! So yeah, this movie is really silly and insanely meta at times. It's also really messed up, but in the best way possible. I personally love movies that take chances like this and break new grounds and get you out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you like movies like South Park or Team America, then you will definitely get something out of this film. Me personally, I loved it, I recommend it, and I did see it completely sober, but I can imagine that if you're high or drunk off your ass, it would probably be even more enjoyable than it was. One thing I can tell you though is that you will be hungry once the film's over, whether you're stoned or not. So you've been warned. So there's my review on the film Sausage Party, and now my question, of course, as always is, what did you guys think of the film? Did it make you laugh? Did it get you out of your comfort zone? Do you feel like you learned anything? Are you hoping there's gonna be a sequel? Go ahead and leave your comments below. Be sure to like and share, and if you like what you saw here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, please be sure to keep checking back for more Adorkable videos on the way real soon. Bye, Adorkabetties! Bye!